Hey, everybody. I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy Dore, here with Americans comedian Kurt Metzger and the miserable liberal Steph Zamorano. And ever since Seymour Hersh reported that the U.S. blew up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, I have not seen one member of Congress call for any kind of investigation, especially on the Democratic side, which you think, if you're a progressive, you oppose militarism, you think you might want to call for some oversight of this report from a legendary journalist that the U.S. committed an act of war against not just Russia, but also an ally, Germany, blowing up this vital pipeline between Russia and Germany. But one person who did bring this up and did call it out is a former member of Congress, Dennis Kucinich. He is a longtime Democrat from Ohio, consistent opponent of war and militarism. And he was among the speakers at the Rage Against the War Machine rally. And check out what he said about the Nord Stream 2.
In blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, this government has deliberately circumvented Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution, the authority of Congress to make war. It has violated international criminal law by conspiring to commit acts of sabotage and violence on the high seas. It has used illegal and unconstitutional means to destroy the energy resources needed to protect millions of people in Europe during the winter, and then to profit from its illegal actions by selling energy to Europe at a 4 to 6 times markup. It has done so. It has done so blatantly, cynically, simultaneously taking credit for the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, and then denying any role in it. I speak directly to those responsible, thanks to a courageous journalist, Seymour Hersh. Thanks to a courageous journalist, Seymour Hersh. We know what each of you did at the Nord Stream pipeline, Mr. President, Mr. Secretary of State, Mr. National Security Advisor, and Madam Undersecretary of State. And we will not rest until you are held accountable by Congress, by the International Criminal Court, and by the American people at the next election for your reprehensible conduct, which has debased our Constitution, undermined the rule of law, in our name, committed an act of war which threatened the peace of the world and the stability of our own nation. No amount of balloon militarism will distract us from your profoundly lawless, reckless conduct. Even intelligence professionals are aghast at your White House's incompetence and have lost trust in your ability to defend America. Oh, yes, you want to hold Russia to account. That will ultimately be up to the Russian people. But it is up to we, the American people, to hold you to account. To affirm that we are a nation of laws, not of men or women, to hold those in high office to the highest of standards of national and international law. If we fail to do this, we have only ourselves to blame, while our government descends into depravity and tries to frog march us directly into nuclear war.
So let me bring in Max Blumenthal, editor of the Grayzone. Max, you were among the speakers at this rally alongside Dennis Kucinich. What did you make of his remarks, his comments, specifically on the Nord Stream 2, but basically calling for Biden to be impeached over ordering the bombing of it?
Well, I wish you were in Congress. I wish Dennis Kucinich were in Congress, because look at what Congress is doing over the worst state-sponsored terror attack on an industrial site in our lifetime that caused one of the worst environmental disasters of our lifetime, which is an act of war, not just against Russia, but against Germany, This is Germany's critical infrastructure. It was so pathetic. I mean, you saw the German foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, meeting with Tony Blinken at the Munich Security Conference, and he's putting his arm around her and he's like, hey, I just blew up your critical infrastructure, and right now you're going to smile because you're the biggest tool ever. You have no national sovereignty. And now, I mean, where are even the Republicans in the MAGA caucus in Congress? Matt Gaetz and he introduced the Ukraine Fatigue Act to defund the war, but I haven't heard them even talking about this. So no one in Congress is talking about what the U.S. has done. This should be a cause for a major investigation, because not only that it was a massive violation of international law, a terror attack, a environmental disaster, that millions of people in Western Europe were deprived of heat and comfort in the dark of winter, but because of what it opens up American critical infrastructure to going forward. That would just simply be retaliation. So Kucinich is calling on Congress to not abdicate its responsibility to investigate the president for violating also the Constitution, as Sy Hersh points out. Because who in Congress got to vote on this? Where was the congressional approval? Was the House Intelligence Committee even informed? It looks like, according to Sy's report, which is entirely plausible, that this decision was made by the president, his National Security Council, which is just his little kitchen cabinet of neocon fanatics. And then Bill Burns at the CIA was told to carry it out. And he said, yes, sir, Mr. President, I won't tell anybody. That's unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's vile. And it's sad that it has to be a former member of Congress calling it out at a rally.
You know what reminds me of that situation is them saying we're going to do this and then doing it and then going, no, we didn't do it. Exactly when 9/11 happened, Al-Qaeda, a bunch of videos, oh, we're going to blow your thing up, the two devil tower, whatever. Then after it happened, we didn't do it. like, we know you did it. It's the exact
And the Bush administration got warning saying that they're going to do it. And then they said, oh, well, we didn't really get those warnings.
It's just amazing the gall to because I remember everybody outraged that they were claiming they didn't do it after we literally just did the same thing.
Yeah, I was actually looking at new titles on Amazon, and there's a book coming out pretty soon by Victoria Nuland and Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and NSC Director Jake Sullivan. All three co-authored it. It's called If I Did It.
I made that joke last week, Max.
I knew where that was going. I
made it last week. It's a good joke, but I did make it.
Oh, you did make that?
Yeah. God damn. So this is like If I Did It.
Well, hey, great minds think alike.
Great minds, yeah.
The less great mind takes a week later. I thought of it I thought of it while driving a week ago, to be fair.
Because it really does sound like that.
Max, you opened up for Jimmy on Saturday night in DC doing one of your famous stand-up sets. I heard you killed it.
It was good. I mean, it's always the right crowd when it's a Jimmy crowd, because they're totally in the same zeitgeist as me, and they catch all my references. I'm like, I don't know if Anna Kasparian was at the Munich Security Conference this year, but the German foreign minister, who's basically the German version of Anna Kasparian, was there, and she said that Germany will not negotiate with Russia unless Putin pivots 360 degrees from where he is now.
Wow.
She said that.
And so I said, Putin's pivoting. And then he's just, say hello to my little friend. I'm still here. But the neocon hardliners are actually calling for Putin to pivot 720 degrees. But it's basically, you make those kind of references. And if I had done that at Kurt, what's a mainstream, like Caroline's or something.
They're just closed. Whatever.
They'd just be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Why does this matter? But all of the inside references, they just hit so hard because it's like what we talk about all the time on the show. So I can't say I necessarily have it's more like I'm good at reaching Jimmy's audience, which has a big crossover with ours, but it was great. I mean, it's a small,
then you're way ahead of me in figuring out how to do it. Finding an audience that likes you.
We had 100 people there. I mean, it was in a small venue, planned at the last minute. And it was intimate. And I got to see Jimmy try out some new material, which was great. And, everybody loved it.
Watch out for that new Jimmy Dore special coming out soon, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So one of his best lines was, the U.S. is giving so much money to Nazis in Ukraine. The Nazis at home can't afford to buy eggs. They're not getting any aid. and then he did that at the rally, and the World Socialist website attacked him for it. They said, like, Jimmy Dore called for U.S. aid to Nazis in America.
Yes.
Like the most humorless Trotskyist response.
That's great. That's great. All right. Max Blumenthal, editor of The Grayzone, thegrayzone.com. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks, Aaron.
Later, man.
Thanks for being in the chair out there.
Doing live stand-up comedy in Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Nashville, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, and Hartford, Connecticut. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and become a premium member. Get access to all our content.